Alright guys, I'm going to talk about some components and some little parts that work with skateboards to make your setup a lot better, or just to change the way it feels in general. The first thing that's overlooked a lot is bushings. These are bushings. They're the rubber part that goes between your truck base plate and your hanger. That's this yellow bit right here. Now the bushings lets the truck bend down and return to center. A really soft bushing is going to be easy to push, but it's not going to come back to center very well. So it's great for turning and doing a lot of surfy moves. Where you notice a soft bushing that's in a bad way, soft bushings will rob your pop when you're trying to do flip tricks. So getting something a bit stiffer or just tightening up the truck can help a lot with that, and loosening the truck can help you carve a bit better. Now loosening and tightening the truck is done with this bolt here. It's called a kingpin. So grabbing yourself a skate tool helps you change your trucks, change your wheels if you blow a bearing, or just do regular adjustments and tuning on your skateboard. If you're skating a lot, certainly would suggest picking up one of these skate tools. Another item that can really change the way your board feels and performs is riser pads. These are angle riser pads. They're higher at this end and lower at this end. You would run these with their fat ends facing each other. What that does is changes how the angle of the truck is and lets you turn it better. Flat riser, or an angle riser as well, but they both add some height. You can see there it's about 1 centimeter. By adding some height and getting the wheels away from the deck, lets you carve a bit harder without hitting the wheels on the board and scrubbing it. One, the scrub slows you down. Two, if you scrub it hard enough, it can stop your board completely. So if you feel limited by running just hard wheels because that's all that fits without scrubbing, throw an angle riser on there and you can get some of these bigger gummy wheels going. These are a cheap upgrade to any board and you can move them from board to board. These ones actually have multiple holes in them, so I can put them forward or back and fit different hole patterns on my longboards and my regular skateboards. The next item that makes a big difference on skateboards is wheels. So there's your traditional skate wheel. It's a hard wheel. It power slides great. It's easy to stop. There's a lot of transfer of power when you're kick flipping and olling in a hard wheel. And then there's gummy wheels. Something like this. It's a bit fatter. It's a little bit taller. It rolls over cracks a bit smoother. It's not going to be as slippery when you're riding. So you can have a bit more faith in the board to push it in the corners and know that it's going to grip and not slide out on you. A gummy wheel is great for skating vert and skating park, as well as skating a lot of varied terrain like on sidewalks and around town. Gummy wheels are a good way to go. Quite often you get gummy wheels in different sizes. A standard skateboard wheel ranges about 50 millimeters to 55 millimeters in diameter. I've picked up this wheel because it is close to that. This is a 60 millimeter wheel. So it feels very similar as to this on speed and rolling. Now I do have over here a bigger wheel. This one here is a longboard wheel. Just use my skate tool to get that off. There's a longboard wheel. This is a pretty large wheel. This is 73 millimeters versus a 55. You can see an overall height and dimension there. This is going to give you a lot of speed and a ton of grip. Cool wheel. It's a lot of wheel to ride in a skate park, and the riser you'd need to run it on a skate deck would be brutal. It'd be like a 2-inch riser to get this under there. I wouldn't necessarily ride these in the park. These are more for downhill longboarding. Now I've got this little skateboard nut here. This is an axle nut. The size of a pretty good pebble that would probably cause you some troubles. I'm just going to put this down here and roll the wheels over it and just show you how much they slide when you hit it. Starting off with the skate wheel on this axle, come rolling in, slides. So a wheel like this is pretty susceptible to getting stopped by pebbles on the road. You know, that's not a huge pebble, but it'll mess your day up if it doesn't pop out of the way. Next, we've got the 60 mil gummy wheel coming at it. Still grabs and stops the wheel. all the way up to the 73 seismic speed vent. Pebble. See how much easier it goes over? It's just amazing the difference when you get into a bigger wheel like that, how easy it goes over or doesn't go over a pebble like that. So you can see wheel size has a lot to do with it. Something small, great on smooth surfaces and the concrete. Something large, great on the streets around rocks and pebbles. So just pick a wheel, deciding on that. 55, 73, or 60. 60 plus is gonna roll over everything. That comes to sewer grades and cracks in the sidewalk or cracks in the pavement or gutters. All of that stuff that you come across on the streets is a lot easier to get over with a big wheel. So keep that in mind when you're shopping for wheels. So I've got a collection of bearings here that I've been skating over the years, and I just keep the ones that are good and throw out the ones that are bad. A lot of bearings, ranging from cheap bearings like my Momentums. I have some better bearings. These are Skate Fast bearings. They have a removable rear cage, so you can actually pop that out and clean these bearings up. Skate Fast bearings are a mid-range bearing. They're like 30 bucks. These Momentums were like 15 bucks. They were super cheap. Here I've got a set of Black Panther 7s. These are a pretty expensive bearing. They're supposed to be a super fast bearing. Here I have some Bronson G2s. These are another nice bearing. These are going for 30 bucks at my skate shop. And I'm running Bone Swiss right now in my Speedboard, the one that I skate the vert with over here. Now, there's a time and a place for cheap bearings and bad bearings, like worn out ones. And that place would be if you're a beginning skateboarder or a timid skateboarder. Someone that doesn't want too much speed, doesn't want it to go crazy fast or be too slippery. An easy way to throw brakes on a skateboard is put in some old rusty bearings. Ask your boyfriend, ask your girlfriend, ask your bro at the park if he has any extra bearings that are old and worn out, and throw those in a skateboard. That's going to make it really slow. Good way to get going and learn on the skate park without having to be too worried about going too fast. On the other end of things, we got the Bone Swiss. They're a crazy fast bearing. They're like liquid. They're so quick on the park. I find even when I'm at home, when I leave the board sitting on the ground and I have some friends over, they'll go to step on the board just like ha and boom, eat it. It's just so slippery that people are not expecting how loose it is. Now I find that to be great when I'm ripping around the park. It just goes lap after lap after lap after lap. It's just endless that the bearing glides for me. That's a high recommendation, would be Bone Swiss. They're an expensive bearing, of course, you guys all know that, but they are amazing. I've had expensive bearings like these Black Panther 7s that have actually not been as good as I was expecting them to be. Then I raced them in a longboard downhill race, and I actually cooked the bearing a bit. Can you see that black line on there? All 8 of these Black Panthers have that line. I suspect that's from where the ball bearings got like red hot and heated up the metal and actually tempered it a little bit in there. So that was pretty wild. And like Black Panther 7s are not a cheap bearing. They're a high-end bearing. So I'm really surprised that I burned them up. Like I say, it's one longboard race. It was a pretty quick race, but you know, you don't always get what you expect out of expensive bearings. Now, I think we've all skated Bones Reds or know someone that skates Reds all the time. That's an amazing bearing to go with if you're not looking to spend 50 bucks on bearings and you want to spend more than 15, grab some Bones Reds. They're usually less than 30 bucks at any skate shop. So tried and true, Bones Reds. Alright guys, thanks for checking out the videos. I hope that clears up the air on what to choose for wheels, bearings, bushings, riser pads. Go check out your local skate shop, buy local, support local. All the guys in there are going to know a ton to be able to help you out. Just let them know where you're skating and what your goals are with your skate park setup, and they should be able to point you in the right direction. So again, thanks for checking it out guys. Rock and roll.